Hey everyone, it's Ty with Hardy House Games. We're going to be talking about a newer game this year called Catan, Dawn of Humankind. Of course, we're going to be talking about how to win it, not about how to play it. We're going to dive into some strategies, tips, and tricks to get you better at this game so you can win more often than not. Okay, so first of all, since this game gives you a starting location and the board is laid out for you, the numbers, the colors, the explorers are all preset for you if you're going to be playing by the rules. So this is what the board is going to look like. Just like this, every single time you're playing, if you're playing a 4-player game, this is your setup. And hypothetically speaking, these numbers that we're seeing here, they should all be pretty much even for each player. I'm going to give you the stats. If we look at yellow has a probability number 22. What that means, when you look at these numbers here, the dots tell you the probability of how often that number is going to be rolled. So 8, for example, and 6 have 5 dots. That is the probability that's going to be rolled with the dice. And the more dots you have, the more probability. So when I say 22 probability, yellow has 22 dots total, counting all the numbers up that it has. And nobody has a duplicate number either. So with a probability number 22 in yellow, blue actually has a probability 23, white has 22, red is going to also have 22. So they all basically have the same probability number, 22, 23. White has a slight advantage, having 7 different numbers. So however, granted the stats are similar, the numbers are different. Because of that, there's still going to be the luck factor that comes in. There's not going to be a perfect path to victory for every person to have. Whatever color you have, you're probably going to have a different path to victory. But even then, it's not a perfect one. Today, instead of giving you the perfect path to victory, I'm going to give you 10 main tips and tricks to do that's going to increase your chances every single time you play. Tip number 1, momentum is mandatory. What that means is you really have to get things moving. If you lose your momentum, you lose your acceleration, you're going to fall behind. In that way, the very first resource you're going to want is flint. Flint is what you need for every single first upgrade, and those upgrades are mandatory for your momentum when it comes to moving across continents, when you want to move across the board more, if you want to get these victory points over here. So flint is first thing for momentum. Blue actually has a 10, and you're really just betting on that 10. Everybody else has a 9, has a slightly more probability of getting. That way everybody else is getting momentum first rather than blue. I think this might be a reason why blue has never won this game from my experience. Tip number 2, it's almost always smart to be building on your turn. Don't wait for resources to come to you and say, I need an explorer now. I'm going to wait till I have my resources to get my explorer, and then I'm going to go. That's not the smartest thing. If you hold on, now the more chances of having more than 7 resources and a 7 is rolled, now you're going to lose your resources, and you're losing your momentum. General rule, you should be working to build almost every turn. The beginning, it's harder. You don't have as much resources, but if you're able to trade, you're able to get those resources you need to start building, that's a good general rule to follow. Tip number 3 is going to be more about trading, a trading rule. Now this is for all Catan, not just this game, but when you're looking to trade with people and you need a specific resource, don't be that guy that just demands for a resource and say, what do I need? I need meat. Give me some meat.
Give me some meat.
That's not what you want to say. You want to say, hey guys, I have bone, I don't need it. Who wants bone and is willing to trade whatever? And then they tell you what they're willing to trade. If somebody says meat, then you're going to say, yeah, sure, that sounds great. You want to stay on people's good sides. Don't be demanding, be a giver.
Be a giver.
Tip number 4, also a general Catan rule, you're going to want a more wide variety of numbers rather than a lot of one number. So as you're coming across the board here, instead of getting all the 8s and all the 6s, if you don't have a certain number like a 4 or a 5, you're going to want to hit those numbers. So if you're playing as red, for example, they have 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. From that, my first thought is I want a 3 or a 10. And as you're coming across, there's a 10 over here. This is going to be valuable for red. 3 is over here. I mean, not the best 3, but these are the types of thoughts you're going to be thinking. Or here's the 3 over here that I was thinking about on the North American continent, the 3 on this meat. And when you're looking at numbers, you got to think about, do I have these numbers already? What numbers am I missing? And how can I increase my range of getting the best probability of getting a card? If you're getting a card every single turn, no matter what somebody rolls, you have momentum. Momentum is mandatory, so that's what you need. Tip number 5, now specifically back to Catan, Dawn of Humankind, is all about the exploration markers. So these guys, when looking at them, one of them has a victory point, one of them doesn't. Is the luck, should I go for it, should I not? General rule is you're gonna want at least 2 of these. I've never seen anybody play this game win and not get some exploration markers. 1, because you can get lucky and get a victory point, those are valuable. And 2, because these ones right here, if you can decimate the land in Africa, you don't want yours to be taken away. If somebody keeps taking away your land by getting the markers, guess what? You just lost your momentum. And what am I gonna say again?
Momentum is mandatory
for this game. So you don't want to be the guy that is left behind and not getting any exploration markers. You will not win. I promise you, you will not win if you do not get at least 2 of those exploration markers. So to accommodate for this, I would recommend, if you can, if you have the resources, again, if you have it and you can build it, let's start building every turn, right? If you can build another explorer and you have 2 explorers and one of them is just kept the whole game to get exploration markers while the other one just goes to a camp, makes a camp, makes another explorer, goes to a camp, makes a camp. You have that moving while you have one guy getting as many exploration markers as you can as you upgrade. That's going to be your best bet. Again, if you can. If you can't, one explorer can be fine. If you have enough movement, you can go up and grab a quick exploration marker here and there, and that's going to be your best bet. All right, tip number 6. Let's go over the progress victory point markers. So if we come down here, these markers down here, they have a victory point that you can win if you make it to the end first. Now, I've seen people get all 4 and not win, okay? I've also seen somebody not get any of them and win. They're not mandatory, but they are definitely valuable. If you're gonna shoot for one towards the end, the hunting one is good. However, I almost always go for the movement one, the pottery one. The movement one is a super valuable victory point to have because now you get 7 movement throughout and now you can move across the board faster.
Momentum.
And you have a victory point on your hand. The other ones, like construction ones, the clothing ones, they're nice, but honestly, they don't give you the momentum that you need to absolutely win. Having 4 power on these progress things, they're gonna get you these guys, right? These exploration markers, and these are valuable towards the end of the game, or even the ones in South America. These ones are at the end of the game. If you need that last victory point, then sure, you can go to the 4 marker on the clothing or construction. But as you can see, to move across the continent, for example, this mammoth, you only need 3 and 1 to get across there, and the other one is 3 and 1 opposite construction to the clothing. To finish the game, you don't need to max those out. It's just not needed necessarily. Tip number 7 is getting all 4 continents camped or explored. When you do that, first of all, first one to do it gets 2 whole victory points. This is valuable. Again, not mandatory. What is mandatory is at least 1 of them, so you're getting 1 victory point. The person that makes it there first doesn't always win, and I've seen this about half the time. Half the time that person doesn't actually win, and I think it's because they're focusing on other things like these progress points. They get to the continent first, but then they lose their momentum. Somebody who can consistently do a lot of things at once, exploration, camping, maybe getting the food or the hunting victory point. They're getting a victory point maybe here from the exploration markers. Person who's more versatile and just gets that momentum moving instead of just achieving it and stopping. It's not perfect like that, but again, if you can keep that moving, it's really how you're going to win every game. If you're not camping on all continents, then I've never seen that person win. You have to get on all 4 of them, whether it be first or second. Tip number 8, I would pick red. Pick red or white. Those are the 2 colors I've only seen win, and we played a good handful of times, and it's been red every single time. It doesn't matter who the player is, somehow red keeps winning. And here's the reason why I think red keeps winning. When you look at its location, red starts here, and these people, basically every time just watching others play, they end up here. They get this 8, 9, 11, which is good and versatile. Then they move to here. They get their 10, 12, 6. Then they either have another explorer that, maybe they jump up here, get this. They go down to Australia with an explorer over here. Then they move this guy. They come over here to this 3. Red needs a 3, 4, and 6. They move down and hit this one in Australia, 5, 4, and 9. Those numbers and combinations for red is just really good, and they're just set up perfectly to get there first. That's honestly why I think they keep winning. Blue, we already talked a little bit about blue. They have a hard time with momentum at the beginning, and they're over here. These guys generally, I see people move and they start going exploration markers with their guy, and they're up here having a hard time moving across the board because they're stuck up here. And blue, if you're playing blue, don't do that. Don't just go exploration markers. I tried playing blue and doing that, and it was just a mess. I got absolutely demolished. And you're gonna wanna go across the board, not up. You can go up for a second, but don't stay up here. This is not the winning territory. The winning territory is here. So I guess that was 8 and 9. The ninth one was these locations are probably the best for each continent. So I kind of went over that with red. Pick white, that's a good strategy. And then the second strategy is aim for these territories. Pick those territories that are just generally the best in each continent to keep that momentum going. All right, and tip number 10 is avoiding these areas. So I already talked about these areas up here. If you're far over here, it's hard to keep moving across the board, so don't settle on these top locations. Over here, you don't even need these South African explorer markers. You don't even need to go down there. It's just not needed. It's too far away. If you want to go down there and hope that this last one is a victory point, this one's not, and sure, go for it. If you know up here that there's a victory point, then go for it, but you don't need to like do the entire board. You don't need to go down here, you don't need to go up here. Stick in the locations that I pointed out and you're gonna be in a good spot. Generally, you're gonna have the best chances of winning. Again, I'm sorry if you lose because of the dice, they hate you. I get it. I'm a huge culprit of being on the bad side of the dice. It happens a lot of times for me. Good luck. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you completely disagree with me, if you hate everything I said, let me know and I'll tell you why you're wrong. I'm just kidding. We love to hear all the types of strategies that everybody has to say and we'll just have a good conversation. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get more awesome videos about how to win, and we'll see you next time.